entire history of Broadway, only 6 musicals have ever closed in previews. Truckload, people. We call it, this next thing is the truckload spot in the show, because it's a thing I think none of you are going to believe. You're all going to go home and Google and be like, how did this happen? So, one of these legendary shows closed after 7 previews at the Broadhurst in 1973. Paul Jabara was a 25-year-old young man, and he had been on Broadway in Hair and in the West End in Jesus Christ Superstar. But his dream had always been to write Broadway's first disco musical. He became best friends with Jesus Christ Superstar producer Robert Stigwood and convinced him that they had to do it.
The show was called Rachael Lily Rosenbloom, and don't you ever forget it. That's the whole title, exclamation point. And it told the story of Rachael, a poor girl who worked in the Brooklyn fish market and dreamed of being like her idol, Barbra Streisand. And the extra A in Rachel's name was the one that Barbara dropped from hers. So gay.
The show opens like this. A glamorous actress made up to look like Barbra Streisand is presenting the Academy Award for Best Actress. She reads the nominees. Angela Lansbury for the Rosalind Russell story. Goldie Hawn for Via Galactica. Diana Ross for the Angela Davis story. Angela Davis for the Diana Ross story. And Rachael Lily Rosenbloom for Cobra Goddess on Pink Flamingo Road. Before we find out who's won the award, we flash back to a scene that the playbill describes as taking place at Brooklyn Garbage Cans.
Now, Ken Mandelbaum called it the only intentionally camp musical in Broadway history.
Up to 1973.
Right, of course. There's been plenty of camp musicals since then. Much of the show was performed with the guys of the cast in silver lame G-strings while they did kick lines. The girls wore nipple tassels, a sensible choice, yeah.
Rachel, I just stepped on your joke.
You totally stepped on my nipple tassel bit. No, but Rachael Lily Rosenbloom became a gossip columnist in Hollywood, at which point she changed her name to Rachael, as one would naturally, and became friends with a group called the Dykettes. Did not make that up.
The role was written for Bette Midler, who passed. And Ellen Green landed the role. Tony Stevens choreographed, and in the show were Michon Peacock, Wayne Cilento, Kelly Bishop, and Tommy Walsh. One day, Tony and Michon called up their friend Michael Bennett, wanting to talk about just how crazy it was dancing in this insane show, and they ended up planning out a session where they'd record themselves talking about their frustrations as dancers. Michon and Tony brought 3 of their friends from the show with them, Wayne, Kelly, and Tommy, and this was the first time that they all sat down together to talk about what it was like being in a chorus line. And 2 years later, they were starring in a chorus line. So, in a way, one of the hugest Broadway underappreciated musicals, that word is flops in the script, but one of the hugest Broadway flops of all time led directly to one of the hugest Broadway hits of all time. And in a way, Rachael Lily Rosenbloom is literally responsible for changing the face of musical theater.
What? Brilliant. About Rachael, Kelly Bishop, who was the grandma from Gilmore Girls, for those of you who don't know.
Everyone in this room knows who Kelly Bishop is.
Well, you never know. There could have been a friend that someone came along who doesn't know who she is.
That friend is like, what the fuck is
Where
going
am
on?
I? I thought this was a rock concert. Anyway, Kelly Bishop said, "What I remember most were all the drugs. I was standing in a gown, waiting for the curtain to go up, when the stage manager ran out and threw a popper in my nose." A popper. I mean, I'm a party girl, but I've never seen so many drugs around. And apricot brandy at every lunch hour. We had full audiences because people wanted to come and laugh at us. I knew this had to be my last chorus job.
It was.
Because then she became a star. But at one point in the show, a chorus boy said to Rachael Lily, "Man, you are so strange. You give me the shakes." And she said, "You got the shakes? Probably 3rd-degree syphilis." He said, "Who do you think you are?" And she said, "I'm Rachael Lily Rosenbloom, and don't you ever forget it." Thank you, that was my Ellen Green.
That's actually Ellen Green with Andre DeShields, which is kind of amazing. Amazing. It's the show. Frank Rich remembers buying 2 tickets to the final performance on a lark at TKTS and arriving at the show to find it sold out with celebrities everywhere and people offering hundreds of dollars for tickets. Crazy. He said, the show started with a prolonged punch-drunk ovation from the audience. What followed was a musical fantasy of surpassing lavishness that made no sense at any level from beginning to end. The majority of the crowd fell into a sullen, open-mouthed stupor, like that with which the audience greets springtime for Hitler. The cast, in silver lame G-strings, attacked their tasks as if they were performing Guys and Dolls. Which is my favorite, because like they knew what was going on, and they were like, we're gonna bring it.
Commitment. So during the final performance, this is great, Ellen Greene said she was baffled. She had no idea that the show was closing while she was performing, even though the whole audience knew. She thought it was like a great house. She couldn't believe it. Someone told her during the middle of the performance, but alas, she would go on to do Little Shop, and the director and co-book writer, Tom Ian, would go on to do Dreamgirls, and 27-year-old Andre de Shields, kicklining in the chorus in his G-string, would go on to do great things as well.
And whatever happened to Paul Jabara? While Rachael Lily Rosenbloom opened on the fictional 46th Academy Awards, Paul Jabara himself attended the real 51st Academy Awards, where he won a Best Song Oscar for Last Dance. He also won a Grammy for it too. He also wrote It's Raining Men, and he would work with his and Rachael Lily Rosenbloom's idol, Barbra Streisand, on her Broadway album. Is that crazy? Paul Jabara. Wow. Here to sing the opening number from Rachael Lily Rosenbloom, and don't you ever forget it, Jenny Donoghue. That's Max, our fantastic assistant director. Yeah, Max.
Now, Rachael wasn't very pretty either, had no friends, and spent most of her time watching television, reading movie magazines, and eating. But Rachael Lily Rosenbloom just happened to live on the same exact block that a very famous movie star used to live on. As a matter of fact, from her bedroom window, she had an unblocked view of the moon, the stars, and the building with the window that the famous movie star used to live in.
21 years old, looking for a place in the world, finding out the world is very cold. Lots of people I could write to, but there's only one I'd like to. So for now, I'm sending this letter to you. Streisand, you are my favorite star. Dear Barbara, there's so much I want to know about you. Are you happy? Are you glad? Are you sorry? Are you sad? If it could have been different, how could it have been? Dear Miss Streisand, will you be my friend? Dear Barbara, I'm just a kid from Brooklyn too. Kid from Brooklyn too. Looking for a way to the top, finding pieces of the things I want. Not good looking, not pretty, kinda campy, sorta witty. Inside there's one thing I wanna know. Are you lonely? Are you blue? Does your conscience bother you? Was it worth it? Did you feel any pain? I came from Brooklyn Do you have a friend? Can I be your friend? Will you be my friend? I need a friend.